In the vast silence of space, Captain Elena Mirov watched the stars blaze with a fury she felt echoed in her veins. Aboard the bridge of the Resolute, she stood as a solitary figure against the backdrop of the cosmos. The weight of Earth's isolation bore down on her, a heavy, almost tangible force that fueled her resolve. Her eyes, a striking shade of steel blue, mirrored the cold light of distant suns, while her heart beat with a mix of dread and anticipation for the mission that could either redeem her planet or cast it further into oblivion. The 24th century had not been kind to Earth. Once a vibrant member of the Galactic Union, it had been relegated to the shadows of interstellar affairs, a result of political intrigues and economic sabotages that had left it isolated. The Naxar system, with its floating energy mines glittering like celestial jewels, lay ahead. It was a region where power was measured in starlight and firepower, and where Earth's voice had been silenced long ago. Elena's homecoming to the galaxy was not welcomed with parades or peace treaties, but with the silent, suspicious stares of the holographic news avatars and the whispered fears of her crew. The Resolute hummed beneath her, a warship disguised as a peacemaker, carrying the hopes and fears of a billion souls back to the stars. As she paced the length of the command deck, her footsteps were soft thuds against the metal floor, each step a reminder of the journey from the mining colonies of Mars where she was raised. Her parents, engineers who had perished in a tunnel collapse, had taught her two things: the universe owes you nothing, and survival is something you wrest from the jaws of space. The stark utilitarian design of the bridge reflected the practicality that had been instilled in her from childhood. Panels of blinking lights and softly whirring computers were the chorus to her thoughts, a symphony of anticipation for the challenges ahead. Outside the panoramic viewport, the stars called to her, a wild, untamed frontier that was once her playground, now her battlefield. Captain Mirov, Lieutenant Harrow's voice broke through her reverie, crisp and formal. "We are approaching the rendezvous point. All systems nominal, but I advise caution. Sensor arrays have picked up unknown signatures. Could be debris or a welcoming committee." Elena turned, her gaze fixing on the young officer. "Keep the shields up and the communications open. We're not here to start a war, Harrow, but we're certainly not here to lose one either." Her voice carried a calm authority, a contrast to the storm of emotions swirling within her. Each member of her crew felt it, the burden of being the underdogs in a galaxy that had moved on without them. Yet there was a fire in Elena's words, a spark that could ignite the courage they needed to face whatever awaited them in the Naxar system. As the Resolute sailed closer to its destiny, the stars not so much welcoming them back as bracing for their arrival, Elena knew this was more than a mission. It was a chance to reclaim their place among the stars, to show the galaxy that Earth was not a planet to be forgotten. With a silent prayer whispered to the void, she readied herself for the coming storm, knowing that the fate of her world rested on the edge of her resolve. On the Veroka flagship, Vehemence, General Thrail surveyed the holographic star map with a predatory intensity. The dimly lit command room buzzed with the soft electronic beeps and the occasional murmur of his aides. He stood towering and imposing, his chitinous armor reflecting the soft blue of the holograms. His eyes, multifaceted and piercing, scanned the shifting borders and fleet movements with strategic acumen. The Naxar system's significance was not lost on him. Floating energy mines produced a rare, powerful element, critical to the propulsion systems of their warships. It was a resource that Thrail knew could tilt the balance of power firmly in favor of the Veroka, if only he could secure it. His motivations were clear: survival of his species, and his rise within the Veroka hierarchy. His species' survival was perennially threatened by resource scarcity and galactic competition, making his mission not just a conquest, but a necessity. Thrail's second-in-command, Commander Silrix, approached him with a cautious gait. "General, the latest surveillance drones have detected human signatures. It appears the Earth fleet has decided to re-enter the galactic stage." Thrail's voice was a low growl, a mix of amusement and disdain. "They dare show their faces after decades of silence. Their audacity is either desperation or stupidity, perhaps both. He paced the length of the room, each step resonant against the cold metal floor. Prepare the fleet. I want all ships at combat readiness. This might be the perfect opportunity to crush them once and for all, he commanded, his mind weaving through the myriad ways he could turn this surprise to his advantage. The vehemence was a masterpiece of Varroca engineering, designed for both intimidation and functionality. Its walls were adorned with symbols of Varroca victories, and the air was always thick with the scent of ozonized metal, a constant reminder of the ship's battle readiness. The crew moved like shadows, efficient and silent, conditioned for war under Thrale's rigorous command. Meanwhile, back on the Resolute, Captain Elena Miro felt the undercurrent of tension that ran through her ship. The news of potential Varroca engagement had reached her, and while it wasn't unexpected, it was certainly unwelcome. She convened a strategy meeting with her senior officers in the Situation Room, a starkly utilitarian space designed for function over form. "Listen up," Elena began, her tone firm yet reassuring. "Our primary objective is to establish a diplomatic presence and secure mining rights. However, we must be prepared for any hostility. We know the Varroca are not fond of sharing resources, especially not with humans." Her tactical officer, Commander Tajo, a seasoned veteran with scars both physical and psychological, spoke up. "Our warships are equipped with the latest defensive tech. If it comes to a skirmish, we can hold our ground until negotiations pull through." Elena nodded, appreciating his confidence but aware of the delicate balance they needed to maintain. "We'll need more than firepower. I want our communications lines open to all Galactic Union members. We're here as peacemakers, but we won't be pushed around." The meeting continued with discussions of logistics, potential alliances, and contingency plans. Elena's leadership style, direct and decisive yet open to input, fostered a sense of unity and purpose among her crew. They were not just participants in her mission, they were partners in the fate of Earth. As the Resolute and its fleet moved closer to the heart of the Naxar system, the stars seemed to watch in silent anticipation. Below decks, the crew prepared for what might come, their minds focused, their spirits buoyed by their captain's unshakable resolve. Above them, the vast, indifferent expanse of space awaited the unfolding drama, a silent witness to the burgeoning storm that would soon sweep across the galaxy. The vast expanse of space, usually a silent arena of distant stars and dark voids, was abruptly shattered by the emergence of gleaming metallic entities from hyperspace. The human fleet, led by the Resolute, materialized with a show of force that was both a statement and a surprise. The energy mines of the Naxar system, usually glowing with serene light, now reflected the stark angular forms of the warships that had dared to challenge the status quo. At the Galactic Fleet's victory celebration, a grand affair attended by various species with holograms and banners flowing like rivers of light, Elena's sudden intrusion was a clap of thunder in a clear sky. Dignitaries and commanders turned their eyes skyward, their expressions a mix of astonishment and alarm. The human ships, sleek and formidable, hung in space like sentinels of a forgotten Earth, challenging the gathered fleet with silent audacity. On board the Resolute, Elena stood before the main viewport, her gaze locked on the floating platform where the celebration was being held. "Broadcast our message," she instructed Lieutenant Harrow, her voice calm but laced with the gravity of the moment. "This is Captain Elena Mirov of the Earth Space Fleet. We come in peace but demand our rightful place in the Galactic Union." The message, transmitted in multiple languages, echoed across the communication channels, received by thousands of devices and translated into hundreds of dialects. It was a declaration, a plea, and a challenge, all rolled into one. Back on the Vehemence, General Thrall watched the human fleet with a sneer. "So, the lost children of Earth have returned," he muttered, his voice thick with contempt. "Prepare to engage. Let's remind them of their place." Commander Silurx, ever the voice of caution, interjected. "General, might this not be a trap? Their technology has clearly advanced. Perhaps a more measured approach." "Measured?" Thrall turned, his eyes blazing with a ferocious light. We will show them that the Naxar system is under Viroka control. Deploy the fighters. Within moments, the dark space around the Viroka flagship swarmed with smaller attack crafts, like hornets buzzing from a disturbed nest. They darted toward the human fleet, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Elena watched the approaching fighters with a steely resolve. Harrow, signal the fleet. Defensive formations. Let's show them that humanity is not to be trifled with. The space between the two fleets became a dance of lights and shadows. Human ships maneuvered into defensive positions, their shields shimmering into existence, absorbing and deflecting the initial onslaught of Viroka lasers. On the celebration platform, chaos reigned. Delegates scurried for cover, their expressions morphing from festive to fearful, as they witnessed the sudden outbreak of conflict. Among them, a figure watched with keen interest, a mediator from the Turvo species, known for their diplomatic prowess. Perhaps he mused to an aide. This disturbance might offer an opportunity for a new alignment. Meanwhile, as the battle escalated, Elena remained focused on her broader mission. Maintain our defenses, but do not pursue, she commanded. Our presence here is not just about surviving an attack. It's about securing our future. The human fleet, resilient and disciplined, managed to hold off the Viroka skirmishers, but the message was clear. The galaxy was not ready to welcome them back without a challenge. As debris from disabled fighters drifted through space, the larger conflict loomed, casting a long shadow over humanity's hope for peace. The shock of their arrival had reverberated through the system, setting the stage for a confrontation that would determine the fate of Earth among the stars. The aftermath of the initial skirmish left the void between the fleets littered with the debris of Viroka fighters, the twisted metal reflecting the light of nearby stars, serving as a somber reminder of the fragile line between diplomacy and war. Aboard the Resolute, the air was thick with tension, but also with a renewed sense of purpose. Elena surveyed the damage reports and casualty lists with a heavy heart, each name a reminder of the cost of their journey back to the galactic stage. Keep our defenses on high alert, but pull back the offensive. We're not here to escalate tensions further, she ordered, her voice carrying the weight of command and the burden of responsibility. Her crew responded with practiced efficiency, their respect for her evident in their prompt nods and determined expressions. Meanwhile, on the vehemence, General Thrail paced before his command console, the outcome of the skirmish a bitter pill. They've held stronger than anticipated, he grumbled, his mandibles clicking in irritation. Commander Silrix watched quietly from the sidelines, his concern growing. Thrail was known for his tactical brilliance, but his disdain for humans could cloud his judgment, a flaw that Silrix often had to navigate carefully. General, perhaps it's time we considered the broader implications of this conflict. The humans have shown they are not just remnants of a forgotten power. They have the potential to sway the balance in the Galactic Union, Silrix suggested diplomatically. Thrail paused, considering the words, prepare for a second wave of attacks. This time we'll use stealth, send in the cloaked drones. Let's see how they handle a silent assault. Back on Earth's fleet, as repairs were underway, Elena convened a strategic meeting with her senior staff. We need to stay one step ahead. I suspect Thrail won't let pride prevent a second strike. Ideas. Her tactical officer, a wiry veteran named Commander Rias, spoke up. We've been developing a countermeasure for cloaked vessels. It's not been field tested, but it might be our best shot at detecting their drones before they get too close. Implement it. Better to test it now under fire than never to have the chance, Elena decided, her decision a reflection of her typical blend of caution and courage. The night shift was quiet, a deceptive peace as the fleet drifted through the starlit battlefield. The Resolute's sensors, enhanced by Rias's experimental technology, suddenly picked up anomalies, subtle but unmistakable signatures of incoming cloaked drones. Alert all ships. Defensive positions. Let's light up the dark, Elena commanded, her eyes fixed on the sensor screens. As the human fleet adjusted, Powerful floodlights pierced the darkness of space, revealing the shimmering outlines of Thrale's stealth drones, their cloaks ineffective against the sudden brilliance. A series of controlled, precise strikes from the human fleet's laser cannons disabled the drones before they could do significant damage. Each hit was a small victory, each saved ship a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. On the vehemence, Thrale's frustration boiled over. "Enough of these games," he roared. "Prepare to engage at full scale. They want to shine a light. We'll blind them with fire." Silrix, however, had other plans. Concerned by Thrale's increasingly reckless strategies, he secretly initiated a communication channel to the Taval mediator. "This conflict is going nowhere, and we risk much. I propose a meeting, under a banner of truce, to discuss alternatives." As dawn broke over the Naxar system, signaling another rotation of the distant suns, Elena received Silrix's message. "A truce," she pondered aloud, skeptical but intrigued. Perhaps it's time to bring this to the negotiation table. The decision to parley was a risk, but for Elena it was a calculated one, balancing on the knife edge of diplomacy and war, a chance to outmaneuver Thrale not with weapons but with words. The shadows of the night receded, but the shadows in their hearts lingered, each leader contemplating the next move in a game much larger than themselves. As dawn's light crept over the hulls of the human fleet, casting long shadows and glinting off metallic scars of recent battles, Captain Elena Mirov prepared for the parley that might determine the fate of Earth's place in the galactic community. The meeting was to be held on Neutral Station, a massive space platform known for its role as a diplomatic haven, orbiting a planet whose breathtaking rings were a favorite backdrop for treaties and truces. In the station's vast conference room, where walls of transparent aluminum offered views of swirling cosmic dust and distant nebulae, representatives of various Galactic Union species began to gather. The room buzzed with the low hum of a dozen languages, translators working overtime to convert words of caution into words of curiosity. Elena entered, flanked by her advisors, each step measured, her uniform impeccable, the insignia of Earth's fleet a statement of both defiance and diplomacy. Across the room, General Thrale and Commander Silrix made their approach, the general's armor clinking softly, his demeanor unreadable beneath his chitinous exterior. The Taval mediator, a slender figure with iridescent skin and eyes like black pearls, greeted them. "Welcome, esteemed leaders. Today we stand not as adversaries, but as architects of potential peace. Let us proceed with respect and foresight." Elena took the lead. "Thank you. Earth seeks reintegration into the Galactic Union and access to the Naxar system for energy mining. We believe our technology and resources can benefit all within the Union." Thrale scoffed, his voice a harsh whisper. "Earth was exiled for its reckless past. Why should we believe they have changed?" Before Elena could respond, Silrix interjected, his tone more conciliatory than his leader's. "Perhaps, General, what Earth offers now could indeed be different. Their resilience in recent conflicts speaks to a potential ally rather than a foe." The room fell silent as those gathered considered this. The discussion that followed was a careful dance of diplomacy and debate. Elena presented detailed proposals, backed by data and demonstrations of Earth's new technologies and environmental safeguards. She spoke not only of profit but of partnership and mutual progress. As the talks progressed, emissaries from other species began to voice their support. The Yalrek, a species known for their energy technologies, expressed interest in human innovations. The Chatterans, ever cautious, requested more information but did not dismiss the discussions. Thrale, feeling the shift in the room, clenched his jaw. His plan to isolate Earth was unraveling. Yet, in a move that surprised the Assembly, he proposed a condition. Earth may return to the Union and access the Naxar mines. However, they must accept Feroka oversight to ensure compliance with Union laws and regulations. Elena paused, assessing the offer. It was a compromise, a leash disguised as a lifeline, but it was also an opening. Agreed with one amendment. Oversight will be conducted by a joint committee, not solely by Veroka. Earth will demonstrate its commitment to the Union's ideals transparently and cooperatively. The mediator, sensing the opportunity to solidify a groundbreaking agreement, quickly facilitated the drafting of terms that were acceptable to both parties. The agreement was set to be ratified in a ceremony the following day, under the watchful eyes of the galaxy. As the meeting adjourned, Elena and her team retreated to their quarters aboard the station. There was a palpable sense of cautious optimism. "We may have just navigated our way back into the galaxy," she remarked to her advisors, allowing herself a rare small smile. Meanwhile, Thrail and Silurx returned to their ship. "This is only a temporary setback," Thrail muttered. Silurx nodded, but his thoughts were conflicted. He had seen something in the humans worth more than suspicion, a potential for a greater good that might even surpass Veroka ambitions. The seeds of a new alliance were sown, fragile yet promising, like the light of a new star piercing through the shadow of an eclipse. On the eve of the ratification ceremony, the Naxar system, a swirling canvas of celestial beauty and strategic importance, found itself under the gaze of wary commanders and hopeful diplomats alike. Aboard the Resolute, Captain Elena Merov reviewed the security protocols with her team, aware that the eyes of the galaxy were upon them. Every maneuver of her fleet was broadcast, every decision scrutinized as they orbited the luminescent energy mines that had sparked so much conflict. Meanwhile, aboard the Vevenance, General Thrail harbored no illusions about the treaty. Though he had agreed to the joint oversight, his distrust for the humans simmered beneath his warriors' composure. "Prepare all squadrons," he ordered, his voice a low rumble. "If this peace fails, we will not be caught off guard." As dawn broke across the rings of Naxar's host planet, the delegates gathered on neutral station, their diverse forms a testament to the galaxy's complexity. The air was thick with anticipation, and the undercurrent of political machinations. Elena stood among them, her demeanor calm but her mind alert, knowing that the day would either bring peace or renewed hostilities. The ceremony began with the mediator's solemn words, echoing through the chamber. "Today we witness a pivotal moment in galactic history. Let this treaty forge a path to unity and understanding." As the document was signed, applause filled the room, a sound mixed with sighs of relief and whispers of dissent. But the fragile peace was soon shattered. Alarms blared throughout neutral station, slicing through the ceremonial decorum. "Incoming attack. Veroka forces approaching." The announcement sent a ripple of chaos through the assembly. Elena's heart sank. The worst had come to pass. Outside, the space around Naxar teemed with Veroka warships, their sudden appearance a stark violation of the day's promises. Thrail's voice boomed over the comm channels, fierce and unyielding. "This treaty is a farce. We will not allow Earth or any other power to threaten Veroka sovereignty." Elena rushed to her command post, her crew ready at their stations. "All hands, battle stations. Protect the station and the delegates. We must hold the line." The Resolute's cannons charged, energy humming through the ship with a palpable intensity. The battle unfolded with terrifying beauty. Laser blasts and missile trails crisscrossed the starlit backdrop, each explosion a punctuation in the dialogue of war. The human fleet, though caught off guard, responded with disciplined precision, their defensive formations blunting the ferocity of Thrail's assault. In the midst of the chaos, a small contingent of Yalrek and Storian ships, previously neutral, moved to support the human fleet. Their unexpected alliance shifted the tide, their combined forces presenting a formidable front against the Veroka onslaught. Amidst the flashing of shipboard displays and the urgent calls of her officers, Elena spotted an opening. "Target the command ship. If we take down Thrail, we may end this quickly." With a determined thrust, the Resolute led a daring charge, piercing through the enemy lines toward the Vehemence. On board his flagship, Thrail watched the approaching human ship with grudging respect. "So, the Earth captain wishes to end this personally," he growled. "Very well, prepare for my boarding party. This will be settled warrior to warrior. As the Resolute neared, boarding tubes shot across the void, latching onto the vehements with magnetic seals. Elena, armed and resolute, led a team of her best soldiers through the tubes. They breached the enemy ship, engaging in fierce close-quarters combat. The corridor battles were brutal, the air thick with the smell of ozone and the metallic tang of blood. Elena and Thrail finally met amidst the wreckage of the breached hallway, their weapons drawn. "This ends now, Thrail," Elena shouted over the din. With a warrior's grin, Thrail engaged her, their battle a clash of ideals, as much as arms. It was a duel that would decide the fate of the treaty, the Naxar system, and perhaps the future of galactic peace. As the ships danced their deadly ballet among the stars, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see whether war or peace would claim the day. The corridors of the vehemence reverberated with the clashing of metal and the sharp reports of energy weapons, as Captain Elena Mirov and General Thral faced off in a duel that was as much about their personal convictions as it was about their species' futures. Sparks flew from the colliding blades, casting eerie shadows on the scarred metal walls, each spark a fleeting testament to their ferocity. Outside, the battle raged on. But inside the narrow corridor of the Veroka flagship, the universe had narrowed to the space between two determined leaders. Elena, driven by a duty to her planet and the memory of Earth's long exile, fought with a precision and determination that matched her opponent's brute strength. Thral, fueled by a mix of pride and desperation, swung his heavy-bladed weapon with lethal intent, his every move a testament to his warrior ethos. As they fought, Elena could see the strain in Thral's movements, the slight hesitation that wasn't there before. She ducked under a sweeping strike, her counterattack forcing him back against the bulkhead. "It doesn't have to end like this, Thral. Your people don't need to conquer to survive," she shouted over the clangor. Thral bared his teeth in a fierce grin, respect mingling with his aggression. "You fight well, human, but you do not understand the Veroka." With a sudden surge he pushed forward, his blade aimed at her heart. But the battle was not to be decided by swordplay alone. A sudden explosion rocked the ship, the result of a direct hit from the Allied forces outside. The shock threw both combatants off balance, providing Elena with a critical opportunity. She tackled Thral, pinning him with the weight of her armored body, her weapon at his throat. "Look around you, Thral. This war is destroying your fleet. Surrender, and we can discuss peace, real peace, not only for our people but for all species affected by this conflict." Breathing heavily, the general ceased his struggle, the fight going out of him as he considered the truth in her words. Finally, with a reluctant nod, he deactivated his blade. "Perhaps there is wisdom in your words, Captain. I yield." With Thral's surrender, the battle outside quickly wound down. The Veroka, seeing their leader captured and their flagship compromised, ceased their offensive, their morale broken. The human and allied ships held their positions, wary but victorious. In the aftermath, as the debris settled and the adrenaline faded, Elena and her crew took stock of the day's toll. Though the victory was clear, the cost was etched on every face, human and alien alike. Casualties had been unavoidable, and the scars of battle would linger in the hearts and memories of those who survived. Back on neutral station, the treaty was revisited and strengthened, this time with contributions from all parties involved in the conflict. The new terms included provisions for rebuilding and mutual defense, a blueprint for a coalition that could prevent such escalations in the future. Elena stood before the assembled delegates, her uniform marked by the day's trials, but her eyes bright with a cautious hope. "Today, we chose a difficult path, a path of bravery and sacrifice. Let this be the foundation of our new alliance, built on trust and mutual respect." The signing was met with a somber applause, the mood subdued yet optimistic. The galaxy had witnessed the birth of a new era, one forged in the fires of conflict, but shaped by the promises of peace. As the delegates dispersed, Elena returned to the Resolute, her thoughts on those lost and the future ahead. The stars no longer seemed distant or cold, but rather part of a larger shared tapestry, each one a beacon of potential. As the dust of conflict settled, and the last echoes of battle faded into the silence of the Naxar system, the universe seemed to inhale deeply, absorbing the monumental shift that had occurred. Captain Elena Mirov stood at the observation deck of the Resolute, watching the shimmering belt of asteroids circling the quiet planet below, a celestial sash that bore witness to turmoil and triumph. In the aftermath of the treaty's successful renegotiation, and the unexpected alliance forged in the heat of battle, a palpable sense of relief mingled with the weight of responsibility on Elena's shoulders. The warships of various species, once poised for battle, now floated side by side in a formation that spoke of unity and shared purpose. Their hulls, scarred and battered, reflected the light of Naxar's twin suns, symbols of resilience and endurance. The day's events had culminated not just in the cessation of hostilities, but in a groundbreaking alliance. The treaty, signed under the watchful eyes of many, was more than a document. It was a covenant promising a future where cooperation would outweigh conflict. The Galactic Union, revitalized by new leadership and perspectives, was poised to enter a renaissance. Elena turned from the window as her communications officer approached. "Captain, the Galactic Council requests your presence at the inaugural assembly next week. They wish to discuss your role in the Union's new defense strategy." With a nod, Elena felt the gravity of her new position. From outcast to orchestrator, her journey reflected humanity's own path back to relevance. "Inform them I'll be there. It's time we took an active role in shaping our collective destiny." Meanwhile, on the rebuilt neutral station, delegates from across the galaxy convened to debate and design the framework for a new era. Reconstruction plans for war-torn sectors, the opening of trade routes, and the establishment of a joint exploration initiative were on the agenda. Humanity's technology and willingness to bridge gaps between species made them central to these discussions. General Thrail, his status shifted from a warmonger to a liaison for Viroka interests, found himself working alongside humans and other species. The irony of his new role was not lost on him, yet he approached his duties with a pragmatism that earned him cautious respect from his former adversaries. Back on Earth, news of the treaty and Elena's heroics had sparked a wave of optimism. Across cities and colonies, screens lit up with images of the signing, and streets filled with people celebrating the dawn of a hopeful era. For the first time in generations, Earth felt connected to the broader cosmos, not as a pariah, but as a proud member of a larger community. Elena, preparing for her journey to the Galactic Council, paused to record a message to be broadcast across Earth and beyond. "Fellow citizens of the galaxy," she began, her tone imbued with the earnestness of her experience. "Today we stand together at the threshold of a new frontier. Let us move forward with open hearts and unwavering courage. Let us not forget the lessons of our past, but let us not be bound by them either." As her ship prepared to depart from Naxar, Elena took one last look at the system that had changed her life and the course of history. The energy mines, once a point of contention, now symbolized the potential for prosperity and peace. The alliance, fragile but promising, was her legacy and her challenge.